stayed in college for 3 years. You could have been the 3-time college basketball player of the year, if I recall. You and Patrick Ewing are the two most dominant college players I have ever seen. Would you have been able to leave one and done? Were you mature enough to do that?
Well, I stayed 4 years, graduated from Virginia
4?
in 1983, and I had a chance to come out in high school. And I did not choose to come out because I was 190 pounds soaking wet. And you coming out, you playing Kareem, Robert Parrish, Moses Malone, Darryl Dawkins. So those guys were grown men. So I wasn't quite physically ready to come play. And then I had Red Auerbach come to my house, my parents' house, and had $1 million in a briefcase.
What?
And said, come out and play for the mighty Boston Celtics. So Kevin McHale would not have gone to the Celtics that year.
So they literally, you were a high schooler.
I was a high schooler.
And they brought $1 million in a bag to your house.
Yep.
And you said no.
Said no.
What did your parents, I mean, it was a family decision. That's an awfully mature decision, Ralph.
Well, looked at my mom and dad. I said, are we okay? You guys okay? I said, we worked all of our lives. And we okay, and when you're ready to go, you'll tell us. So it's not the money thing, is are you ready to play? And my mother played basketball in high school, and so she kind of knew some of the ins and outs. I have a very passionate family about the game of sports and just life itself. So I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready to leave that setting yet.
You go to Virginia, which is, I believe, the #1 public university in America. It is a remarkable university. Cal on the West Coast and Virginia on the East are the best non-private schools, education in America. You had to be a good student, so you go there and you transform the ACC. We think of Carolina and then Ralph Sampson. Did you feel like sometimes your sheer height, your domination, did you sense how important you were to the sport, Ralph?
Not at that point in time, no, because you don't kind of understand the importance of the school or the hype. But after my freshman year, winning the NIT and understanding that, and then all the media attention we got my second and third and fourth year, you understand it at that point in time. And so you can imagine playing in the NIT at Madison Square Garden, winning, and then you're on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and it just kind of goes from there. The second year, we go to the Final Four against North Carolina. Michael Jordan. Al Wood had a phenomenal game. I still hate you, Al, but it's okay. But had a game. That's the year, the president got shot and the whole deal with that and the playoff game. But you start to hear it, and then you start to feel it. And then you get passionate about it, and then you just work your tail off every day to be the best you can be. So I knew kind of after my second year kind of what was going on, but I had no clue my freshman year.
Yeah, and I say this seriously, folks. How old are you, Ralph?
56.
Okay, I'm early 50s. Growing up as a teenager, you were the center of college basketball. And when I met your daughter, she was so pleasant. And I told her that. I said, you have no idea. Like, Virginia became the talk of college basketball. Let's go to the Michael Jordan thing. When you played him, he's always had kind of a relentless motor. Mm-hmm. He wasn't a great shooter back then. But did you sense, Ralph, everybody now is a genius. When you watched Michael, did you think, because he went third, it's not like he was a second-round pick.
Right.
Did you sense there was another gear?
Well, I mean, you could sense that we played against Michael a number of years in college, and we played a game down in Carmichael, down in North Carolina. And Othell Wilson, Ricky Stokes were bringing the ball up. They were down. Michael guarded the guard. They took him off the two-man and put him on the point guard. Okay. And he stole the ball twice and went down, goes down, dunked it, and then they ended up winning the game. So you could sense his passion about the game, his motor, but also, he always says, only one that ever held Michael back was Dean Smith.
Right.
That's from scoring, but you can sense his ability. But when you got Michael, Worthy, you got a cast of guys.
Sam Perkins was.
He can't score all the points at that point in time, especially in the college game.
Was there ever a player in college? It was before you, David Thompson, who I thought, had he been healthy, could have been the greatest player ever.
Oh, yes.
I was always shocked that Pearl Washington didn't work in the NBA. You lived this life, 10 years in the NBA. So much of the NBA to me is maturity.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really, Ralph, people just think it's all talent. Did you ever play with guys in college or the pros that you thought had great talent and just weren't mature enough?
Absolutely. Mature enough or had the passion to play. What makes LeBron James is his passion. What Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, those guys that are elite Hall of Fame players, what's different than a Michael Beasley?
Who's really good.
Michael Beasley is really, really good, but does he have a passion to play? You know, that they have the will to want to play and be that way every day. And you got to wake up with that passion every day. You got to go to bed with it. You got to sleep with it. You got to want it every day. And I think it's the difference.
Today's NBA, we have really marginalized the center, Ralph. If you broke in today, would you have to shoot a jumper?
I wanted to shoot jumpers in high school. You know, and I had a high school coach because everybody would play a boxer 1 and 2.
Of course.
And a zone, so I had no choice. And that's where I learned to dribble because
you could dribble.
Oh,
by the way, I love that highlight. Oh God, look at this. Hold on.
Look at
you. You were
there.
We
go. And I could do that today. I'd be a $500 million player, right? And then you could post up and do stuff like that against Kareem and Artis Gilmore right there. But you know, they wouldn't let me shoot threes with Bill Fitch and the Houston Rockets when I came into the league.
God, look at that, Ralph.
So just
Ralph.
Nature of the beast.
Look at that. Who, by the way, teammate or opponent? You played in an era where centers dominated the league.
Yes.
Who did you fare well against? That's a great. And anybody give you trouble that was an I always said Nate Thurmond as a kid. Who was an underrated NBA big?
You know, I hated the undersized big guys.
Dave Cowan's like?
Dave Cowan was 6'8", 6'9", you know, power forward. Maurice Lucas became a good friend of mine. Rest in peace. But he would come and punch me in the chest before the tip off and say, "Big fella, I'm here." So, but that's just Maurice. And then after, you know, we both retired, I see him, I punch him back in the chest, say, "Take that because I owe you so many of these punches because you got me in the game."
So he tried to intimidate you?
Every day, not only on the court but off the court. But, you know, he was a sweet guy, though. He was a sweetheart of a guy. And then, so guys like that were undersized. In college, I hated Buck Williams.
Buck was a tough guy.
Tough and undersized and
Maryland. Tough,
played
dude.
well in the league.
By the way, how'd Kareem?
I love playing against Kareem. Me and Akeem Olajuwon loved playing. Kareem was tough. He was strong, skyhook, unstoppable, 37,000 points. But we loved to play. We had a strategy. Akeem would play him, and I could go and try to block the skyhook, which we probably never did once or twice in our career. But I always loved coming to the Lakers and playing against Magic, Kareem, Cooper, Worthy, Scott, because that was the best of the best, supposedly, and you want to beat them to death. You know.
Former #1 pick in 1983, a multiple-time All-Star, played 9 years in the NBA. Ralph Sampson joining us. College basketball today is, I compare it to an airport. You land on that plane, and you're just going to basically stay there for as short a time as you can, then you go to the NBA. I've been arguing this for the last couple of years. College basketball matters.
It does.
And don't tell me it's better to go play in Europe. Ralph, when you look, give me a life lesson that you would not have had you gone to Europe, had you done one and done. Where did college help you?
Yeah, it's a maturity factor. Look at the guys that are one and done now. I go back to Rasheed Wallace and people that go Carolina or the one and done type guys. Look at Anthony Davis. You know, he's 6-7 years in the league now. He's a good player, but after about 3 years, he matured. Now he's a great player. So if he'd have stayed in school another year or two, by the time he got to the NBA, he'd have been a really good player in his first or second year of the league. So I think the maturity, especially the big guy, it takes a little bit longer for them to mature in college, and they could get that. But when they go to the NBA, they don't have time to mature because they got to play every night, play every day. Look at Ben Simmons. You know, he unfortunately got hurt last year, right? And he stays out a year, and he works his tail off, and now he's a pretty good player.
Yeah.
But it took a year for him to really mature, but he was off the court. Look at, you know, Nabeeb. They bring him along slowly. He's a big guy. He's maturing now, but, you know, injuries and things that happen.
Your body, Ralph.
The body is the temple. If you don't take care of it, it's going to.
I always remember the Sports Illustrated shot of you doing the 50-pound barbells. You were thin, but
they were 90.
90?
Yeah. Dumbbells.
Yeah, you were strong.
Well, you know, when coming into UVA, I was 7'1", 190 pounds.
And you graduated, you were what?
I graduated with 7'4", 245.
Holy moly, that's a handful.
But I had big strength coach. I got him John Gamble, that was a powerlifting coach. He's a weight coach for the Buffalo Bills now. But he was a power lifter, so I would lift with those guys every day. And I would lift with football players because basketball players, we lifted, but they didn't lift like I did. So I was
50 pounds.
Yeah, 50 pounds.
Ralph, absolute pleasure.